drugs. I am not on drugs. I'm just tired.
Oh yeah, that is really how that goes.
Close. It's adjacent
to some extent.
That. Yeah.
You know who covered that weirdly is Census
Mike
Fail.
V and the Rats. Oh.
And Mike V and the Rats.
Oh yeah, Census Fail did. It was good too.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. Man, Mike V and the Rats?
I think so.
Listen, I don't know what I edited before this, but we're keeping in a reference to Mike V and the Rats because that is wild.
Yeah.
Because does anyone know what that is? Well, I don't know if Ryan listens to this. He might listen to this one because it's in flames. It's in play. But like he would know who Mike V and the Rats are. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people, I would argue, totally know who Mike V and the Rats is.
I'd like you to ask someone who Mike V is, let alone his weird offset band that didn't go anywhere, the Rats.
That's fair.
Because like, hey, who's Mike V? And is it pronounced Vallely or Valele?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's Valele, and
it's not.
Valele's so much better.
Yeah. You don't hit somebody with a shallely, you hit them with a shillelagh.
Exactly.
Which has got a G in it. So fuck that.
That's gross.
Have you ever tried to spell shillelagh?
No.
You can't even get close enough for Google to be like, I don't know. I'm out.
Why would you have tried to spell shillelagh?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I think I was probably looking up the words
to
an
Irish drinking song. Yeah.
Rocky Road to Dublin.
God, Rocky Road to Dublin's so good.
It's so fucking good. Dubliners, if you're still alive and out there, thank you for that.
And how are you still alive? Right. My God. Fuck, everyone talks about Keith Richards. Fuck that shit. Go check these dudes out. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. Rocky Road to Dublin did oh man, who did Shipping Off to Boston? Why can't I think of what they're called?
Dropkick Murphys.
Dropkick Murphys. Did they cover Rocky Road to Dublin? I think they did. Right?
Yeah, they had to have. I'm awesome.
Not
even. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not even being like stereotypical. Like I think my brain is telling me that that's in there.
Yeah, and it's so good. It's so good.
Super good.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. The 2 Decades Too Late podcast. I am Brad, hanging out with Josh.
Shillelagh
indeed. This is a podcast in which we rate and review an album that is turning 20 shillelaghs old. Mostly metal for whatever it's shillelagh.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
I liked putting it there more than the normal places that I might put the dumb shit that we talk about. Josh and I each give a rating of 1 to 5 to 4 different parameters for an individual maximum point total of 20 and a combined maximum point total of 40.
Yeah.
$20. 20 Dubliners.
20 Dubliners?
20 doubloons.
Yeah. This week, we've got Soundtrack to Your Escape by In Flames. So if you were thinking of trying to escape this episode, we've got your soundtrack for that. Yeah.
No, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Flames, a band I'm weirdly not all that. In Flames is a playlist band for me. I'm somewhere between like I know them and I don't. And I'm after this I'm thinking I fall more on the don't. But so yeah.
They're from Gothenburg, Sweden, which is amazing because it's got goth right in the name, and it's Swedish, so you can have yourself a smorgas, which is sandwich. Active for 14 years at this point, so formed in 1990. I don't think that's that weird because I think of them as being an older band. I was
they were part
shocked that this was like so deep into their discography or so new, so shallow, I guess.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah,
mind,
I mean,
everything I've heard from In Flames was recorded in 1998.
that's fair. This comes up when we get into this, and I don't know if it's a point worth making now, but before we even really flesh this out, I just want to be kind of clear about something. I'm not one of the people who say, I mean, In Flames ended up being hated by their original fan base at a certain extent.
Absolutely. Like starting from Reroute to
Yeah,
Remain, the album prior to this in 2002, and continuing definitely all the way up to I the Mask.
yeah. And I just want to, like, I like some of the songs off Reroute to Remain. There are songs on Come Clarity that I like a lot. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Vacuum might be my favorite In Flames song of all time. Um, and I like some of their weird shit that they do. Leeches off
Leeches is
of
so
the
good.
following album is a great song. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I just want to be clear that I wasn't a big enough fan to let this influence my opinion of them one way or the other. And I want to be clear that I do like some of the songs that fall in this era of the band. So I'm not shitting on the band for changing. I don't really care. Um, I mean, I love the album Horacle. Ryan gave that CD to me, which I still have.
I knew you liked that album, and I figure we're gonna
Yeah,
kind of. I don't know how many parallels you're gonna draw to that one because I'm not super hip, but
not
yeah, okay.
not very much. There's not many to draw,
No.
unfortunately. So like, not unfortunately. Um, so yeah, like I don't need them to be 1996's straightforward melodic death metal band. That's
Yeah.
fine. Um, so I'm saying all that because I think when we get into this, it's gonna sound like I don't think that way.
All right.
And I just want to make the point up front that I do. It doesn't bother me at all.
Belt
And it,
on. 6 prior releases.
yeah,
All of which,
yeah,
like I'm not that familiar with their back catalog, but reading the
fair.
reviews and knowing what I do know about it, I would say is a pretty standard. Like you can see the progression on how you get from one
You
place to
can.
the other.
You can. That's
Lunar
the other
String,
thing that
94, The Jester Race
yeah,
96, Horacle 97, Colony 99, Clayman 2000, Reroute to Remain 2002. Like they're prolific.
yeah, man. They're a big deal they're a legend for a reason. And yeah, that's the other thing. Like they transitioned pretty easy. Like they didn't just start being whatever this is, though.
Right.
I might argue that this is a funny album to land on for what I do listen to by them, and this is the only album I'm realizing that I didn't listen to ever. Like I've listened to the rest of them. I've listened to the bookended albums around this one. I don't know if of Lunar Strain I may have skipped because I think it just sounds bad. Jester Race, I'm trying to think if Jester Race has the vocalist on it yet, because they started with the Dark Tranquility vocalist.
Yeah, Jester Race is when I think Anders
Is when
started
Anders,
in 95.
Starts. Yep. So yeah, I like a lot of this, and I like Reroute to Remain, and I like Come Clarity. I just skipped the living fuck out of this album
Sick.
for whatever reason. But speaking of members,
Yeah.
the members on this album are Anders Frieden
Why not?
on vocals, Bjorn Galat on lead guitar. Bjorn was the drummer before the lead guitar player.
Yes,
Funny
he
enough.
was.
Jesper Stromblad, Peter Iwers for bass, and Daniel Svensson for drums. What a good drummer, by the way.
Yeah. I really liked the wiki page because In Flames is one of those bands since they've been around forever that has a shitload of members. It's hard to keep track of. So if you're interested, it's really well organized, and then it gives you like a little breakout on which albums that these musicians are featured on. So a lot of these members actually were in the band for quite a long time. The shortest being probably 94 to 2008. And that was Jesper Stromboli. I'm sorry.
It's great.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. Jester Stromboli. Also, really weird. Liam Wilson from Dillinger is their bass player now. That's odd. And then also Chris Broderick is their guitar player now.
I saw that and I was like, damn. All right.
Yeah. Also, Tanner Wayne may be my favorite drummer on the planet. Like, really? He crushes social media. His taste in music seems to align with like ours exactly. Remember,
hey, Bryce, can I talk to you? Well, we were just over at Tanner's house.
Oh man. Yeah. So no, incredible drummer. They have a great lineup now, but
their most recent album was definitely super good. The Foregone album definitely kind of like got back to the roots in quotation marks.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean at least it's also, by the way, you don't have to. Like, I just again want to be clear, I don't really care that they changed. It's fine, but spoiler alert, I just don't think they do whatever this is particularly well. Whatever you would even call this album.
A lot of references to synth pop.
Yeah.
It's
also
still rooted pretty solidly in melodic death metal, I would say.
I would say maybe a third of it is.
But it shifts into that
maybe.
What's I guess what people dubbed alternative metal, which might be like another category of extreme metal. It's not prog, but you know how there's like this kind of American joke that European countries get American culture like 20 years late? Yeah. When I heard this, I was like, oh, this is when nu metal made it to Sweden.
Well, alternative metal is where Seven Dust lands pretty hard. If I can't like,
okay,
because I don't hear nu metal in Seven Dust. Like, I understand they're associated with the genre. So is Deftones. I don't think Deftones is nu metal at all. Their first couple albums, maybe, but even then, it's like if you're basing nu metal off, the Korn self-titled eponymous release, then I don't know what about Deftones or so. Frankly, I think this sounds more like Korn, this In Flames album, than anything Seven Dust ever did. And at time, not deployed in the best way that it could be. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the reception to. It's actually pretty mixed, and there's that like hard line.
Okay.
Yeah. So AllMusic gave it a 4 out of 5. The user reviews on AllMusic are a 4 out of 5. And then Metal Underground gave it a 1.5 out of 5. And it seems to be that like that shift in sound that's like, hey, if you're a diehard fan, this isn't gonna help the situation.
Correct.
But it's like if you liked kind of where they were transitioning, this might be for you. And it's kind of this thing that they're trying out that sounds, separately kind of good in its own right.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, that's all fair. It's just, this seems like the growing pains
to
portion
get to come clarity.
Yeah. That's how this kind of feels to me, because it's, we'll get into it more, but I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about In Flames, only because they're probably the third or fourth biggest band we've done anything on. I mean, they're In Flames.
Yeah.
They're huge. I mean,
and even like, commercially successful too. So Billboard, they this album hit 7 on the independent album chart, 58 on the Billboard 200 overall, or 45 depending on which part of the wiki page you look at. And number 2 on the Heatseekers chart. And I would not be surprised to read that Come Clarity made it even higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, it almost would have had to, because it had Take This Life on it, didn't it? Which was like Guitar Hero and
Take This Life,
that song was
Leeches,
fucking huge.
Vacuum. All
God,
of
that
it.
album's so good.
It is really good.
Yeah. I'm glad yeah. So, big picture, I would just like to first point out that I hate the song titles on this album. I think they're really dumb.
They are dumb.
Sounds like a guy who hit his emo phase in his 30s.
They are very emo.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I don't know. Again, this is another one where, God, the friends with the R and the parentheses, it's so stupid.
But you could also read Fiend.
It could be Fiend.
That's what they're getting at.
You know? That's track 1.
Yeah.
That's how you're introducing people to your new album.
Yeah, and it continues throughout in a general tone of the thing.
Agreed. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say because it's pretty. Even my notes to myself are pretty one note.
Yeah.
Like they kind of repeat themselves over and over. I don't think he really knows what he's doing yet, singing wise. Not really. I don't know if he gets what type of vocal he wants to do for certain parts, and it seems like he's really trying to figure out where he wants his shit to land on this thing.
That's fair.
Yeah. And not particularly well done in the process, necessarily.
There was a lot more like noise and techno-y bits to this album than I'm accustomed to. It's an outlier, I'd say.
It is.
I don't know that. Is it an outlier? Tell us in the comments.
It is. Well, I mean, as far as what I know, yeah, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Because it's like an album that's 47 minutes long, but it's really like 35 minutes long. Because there are some songs that are basically done at 2 minutes in, and then it's just instrumental stuff or electronic stuff for 2 more minutes.
Touch of Red specifically is one of those.
Yeah, like that's a cheap move. Like that's not a 4-minute, 12-second song.
Right.
That's a 2-minute, 20-second song with a whole second half that doesn't add anything or help it go into track 5.
I mean, it is the soundtrack to your escape.
God.
Or is it The Quiet Place? Did your version say like The Quiet Place edition? Okay. I couldn't find
I don't know what
edition.
that means. Same. I have no idea what that means.
Okay. And we're going to get into this later, but which album artwork do you have? Do you have like just the wheel with like a big yellowy blob?
And like the escape key at the bottom right?
What? I don't know about... Oh, look, there it is.
So, as far as I can tell...
Stupid as fuck.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I'm so mad at that.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah.
Okay, I need to type myself a note for later.
I have already written that note.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That note's...
We'll revisit that here in a hot second.
Yeah, that is the album cover I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so bad. It is
fucking
so bad.
Sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst. Like, that's the dumbest decision. Yeah, I don't have... So here's the problem. Like, I don't want to be 2 weeks in a row without doing any track by tracks necessarily, but I don't have a lot of good to say. If I'm being really honest.
To say, honestly. And, like, one of the reviews was kind of like, you know, In Flames is riffy. They're supposed to be riffy, and they're supposed to be, like, creative and kind of innovative. And, like, he's like, most of these riffs just kind of sound phoned in. Like there's not a lot of life to them. I don't
That's
fully
interesting.
agree with that, but I do get where he's coming from.
Well, they took the words out of my mouth a little bit, because my biggest problem with this album is that it sounds lazy, and like soulless. Like it doesn't. There are moments in the album. It's like you can tell when the band is excited to be playing a song. Like track 11, Dial 595 Escape. Like you can hear, I could, at least I think I can, I could hear the enjoyment coming from them.
Yeah.
As a band. Like there's an energy to it. Like
that's a lot of the riffs, this album I had heard before. Yeah. And it's great. I've always loved that song.
Really good. Just a lot of the riffs in this sound like, oh, I gotta make a bap riff, and you know, I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna do bap bap, and it's like, right. You could have done anything else there. So yeah, the whole album sounds a little, I don't know, forced. Like they really were trying to figure out what that next evolutionary step was gonna be. I'm actually a little surprised the main members didn't quit sooner. Like I just remember, like. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess at this point, I don't, like, I find almost no redeeming quality on this. Like, I can find a redeeming quality on every one of their albums, and I got super locked in after I was done listening to this. I mean, I listened to In Flames, like, the whole day.
Yeah.
Because they are, I mean, breaking news, In Flames is a good band, right? But, yeah, this one just, I don't get this one. I didn't go too far up because there are a couple albums ahead of that where it gets really bad again in almost the same exact sort of way.
Yeah.
Where it seems like they're trying to evolve to that next, like, bigger, poppier thing that they became.
Right.
But this sounds like they heard, like, What It's Like by Everlong and then, like, Korn. And they got those two ideas in their head and they were like, but we kind of make melodic death metal, so those three combinations?
Right.
Like, which is a gross combination.
That sounds great. Mayonnaise and ketchup and grape jelly.
So yeah, I don't have much to add for the breakdown, or the track by track. If you don't, I am happy to get to the reviews, but also whatever you have to add.
I've got a little bit. I mean, Dead Alone has some cool stuff. It's probably one of those songs, like you said, that the band actually, like, were like, oh yeah, this. It wasn't filler necessarily. Touch of Red, we mentioned as like one of the songs with an interlude, but like, man, that's a Shadows Fall riff that song has. Like,
no, that's one of those songs where my note was, I don't know who this song is for, but it's not for me.
Right. My Sweet Shadow. It's got some intro riff and like a second intro riff that's super sick, and then they kind of just abandon it altogether. In Search for I has some weird toned solos that are kind of interesting, but also don't necessarily go with the rest of the song.
Yeah, I mean, even in My Sweet Shadow at track 6, like, that riff, I know exactly what riff you're talking about, but I think it's only good because it's on this. I think if you even put it in any other In Flames album, you'd be like, that's a really generic version.
That's fair.
Of the mellow death riff. You know what I mean? Like, there are times where they hit it pretty hard, but most of the melodic death metal stuff on this seems like it's like, well, yeah, I can throw one together in 30 seconds. Give me a minute and we'll lay it down because that's what the part needs. And it's like, I don't know.
We got too many of these. Let's put them on clearance.
Yeah.
This is the bargain bin In Flames album.
The bargain bin mellow death riffs. Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Also, the superhero of the computer rage.
Yeah.
Is that the worst song title?
It is.
Of all time? I don't know. I just like, even when, like, God, computer of the...
Now we should get to the review.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, these song titles. are just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I don't even get it. Cause evil in a closet.
Yeah. In search
I don't know.
for I.
Yeah. Review?
Review!
Feel very sad at what you're missing.
Yep.
But Josh, what did you think of the artwork for
Don't Tell Jeffrey?
Soundtrack to Your Escape? Don't tell Jeffrey. But yeah, what did you think?
Until you pointed out that escape key, I had it ranked as a 4. I really like the graphic.
Oh.
I thought it was super nice. I like the colors. I like the shapes. I'm basically an infant. Just give me shapes and colors and I'm good to go. But once you pointed
I think that's most people.
I dropped it to a 1. Like that is the worst, most tragic thing you could have done to a visual graphic. Yeah. I'm really sorry to do this actually because the artwork was done by Nicholas Sundin, a founding member of Dark Tranquillity. He's done a lot of album covers that I do actually love, but this is not one of them. And every choice he made was wrong, and it gets a 1.
Yeah, totally with you. The colors are fucking sick. I love the overall feel. If you don't look too deep into it, it's great. But at the end of the day, what it looks like to me is a giant record.
Yes.
And then the escape key.
Yes.
That's fucking stupid. Like, that's so really fucking stupid. It's so dumb. That's a 1. I mean, it's a 1 all day, which sucks because honestly, this might be one of the best color palettes. I love like that.
It's amazing. And
the turquoise kind of color when it's like dark. I'm bad with colors. But like that color is so because it blends into black well, which a lot of blues really don't do. And it's like I love the color palette. But yeah, so 1 for me. I can't with that shit.
Fucking escape key.
It's awful.
Just don't do it.
No. All right. Yeah, it's not good.
Guys are
what did you think of the production?
Anyway.
Then verse now.
So listening to this and God Forbid, they both kind of caught me off guard, and this one's on like when it first comes in, it sounded really muddy to me, and that might have something to do with the fact that like this is the first time I think they used a different tuning or exclusively used a different tuning. I don't know if that would.
That shouldn't lead to that though.
Yeah, so I think I settled on a 3 overall because like once you get past the first bit again, you kind of settle into it, and it does sound good. I think it's got a nice full sound overall, and especially with all the beeps and boops and layering that they're doing, it comes together well. But it does, again, it sounds a little old.
It does. I agree with you.
Did I say 3?
What'd you land on okay. I think you said 3. Yeah, I landed on a 2.
Awesome.
I think the guitar tone is incredible. The bass tone's incredible. That stuff sits really well. The drums, I think, are completely drowned out. You cannot hear what the kick drum's doing at all.
You can't.
I mean, the kick drum is just not there.
No, it's not
Which
at all.
You even go back in time to Pinball Map, where the kick drum is one of the most mighty kick drums I've ever heard in my entire life. And it's like
Pinball Map.
The production on that album's insane. But no, the drums are just totally drowned out. I mean, you can hear snare and toms, and that's about it.
You can hear the toms, yeah.
Yeah, the toms sound great too, but the kick is gone. The cymbals are mostly gone. The now part especially, but yeah.
Almost the other end of the sonic spectrum. Like listening to this and God Forbid in the same day, you're like, fuck, somebody give me some mids.
Yeah, dude. Like, well, it's like I don't know. I understand everyone is upset that recording is so easy now, but it's like when you listen to these two albums in a row, you realize that, like, is there a need for that chasm? Because I don't think there is. I think everyone would benefit from that chasm not existing. Impact at the time?
Oh, man. I had a 2 written down, but I might have to go with a 1 for this album specifically, because Dial 595 Escape was the only song I had heard off of it.
Yeah.
We heard Pinball Map on Metal Mania, I'm certain, at some point.
Oh, yeah, and it, like, the year, whatever year it came out,
and
is when that happened.
Love the song Trigger, and I know In Flames was, like, kind of tangentially important, but this album, it wasn't. So I am gonna actually drop it down to a 1. I could definitely make the argument that Come Clarity had more of an impact.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I'm at a 1 too. I mean, Pinball Map was the only song I even heard by them, which, by the way, even back then we were putting it on, like, blank CDs.
Yeah.
Like, that song mattered a lot. That song was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
In probably 2001-ish, right around there. I'm not saying they had no... You know what? Because of that, I will bump them to a 2. This album had none whatsoever. But they did influence everyone we listened to. We had a little bit of influence coming their way, but not more than I can't. Honestly, a 1's probably more accurate. This might be like a Mercy 2,
right? A
little bit. But no, it's 2's the best I've got. How much did you enjoy listening to this album?
Well, I gave it a 4, honestly. I don't hate it.
Man.
Like, I really... like, sometimes,
all right. Wild.
Yeah.
What a curveball.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, that is wild. I didn't, and I'm here.
Apparently, I like some basic-ass shit, and I didn't dig too deep into it, so I'm like, oh, yeah. It was cool. I liked some generic-ass Swedish melodic death metal, and I liked some... I did like some of the beeps and boops. Sometimes he got a little whiny, but...
Sometimes he got a little whiny.
Sometimes.
We sure about the sometimes on that?
Yeah, on Bottle.
I might push back on the sometimes. Yeah. But fair enough.
It's not as bad as some of the later stuff they released. So I was like, oh, this is like where he started doing that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. Fair enough. I gave it a 1. I didn't like it at all. I will never listen to this album again. This is one of the worst albums that we've done for me, as far as, like, I had a hard time getting through this thing. Like, there were times where I genuinely thought, I'm not finishing this song.
See, I never wanted to turn it off, which is because there have been albums where I was like, oh God, for various reasons. Oh,
sure. God. Of course. This is shitty. This is just shitty work by people who should be doing better. That's the problem I have the most with it, I think. It's like, you get the fuck out of here being lazy.
Right.
Like, you don't get to do that at this point in a prolific career. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're in a rut or not. Then you travel and you go do something that sparks something.
I mean, like, there's 7 albums in. There's got it.
Dude.
Most people would.
And then the one before it and the one after it are not even my favorites, but, like, even when they're bad outside of this, it's listenable to me.
Yeah.
This just sounds like dudes that, like, their record label is like, we need an album this year.
Right.
And when you're in Flames, you probably don't have to say yes to that necessarily. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I hate it. I really don't like it at all, or anything about it. I don't know.
I guess that's how you get yourself to a point where music reviewers can write a line to the effect of, the best In Flames album to come out in the last 2 decades was written by the Halo Effect.
Yeah, though. I mean, for real. The Halo effect's so good.
They are good.
Oh my god. And they're mostly In Flames people.
They are mostly In
So there you
Flames
go.
people.
This
So-
is a good example of me hating an album but not shitting on it the whole time we talked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time, but not the whole time.
Right. You critiqued it. You didn't shit on it.
Yeah.
But it did not come in well. It got a total of 15 shillelaghs out of 40.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, 15 out of 40 is... What's our lowest? That's got to be close.
Might be it.
Who knew? Who knew we'd be doing a podcast talking about music and an In Flames album would get a 15?
Taking Back Sunday has a 16.
Oh, that makes me want to die.
Yeah.
I also just said unfortunate again. Son of a...
That's unfortunate.
You're right. Tell me about it. So this has the
Literally.
lowest score of anything we've done.
I think ever, yeah. Let me check Sugar Cult.
No, Sugar Cult's higher. I remember that.
Okay.
That was in the 20s, I think.
Damn.
Man. Yeah, this is I don't really know what to say about this. I don't love it.
I don't either. I hope
say that.
somebody shares an opinion, a counter opinion even.
Yeah. All right. Well, what is your favorite song off of this soundtrack to your escape by In Flames?
My favorite song was Dead Alone, track number 3. I like the overall tone of it. It had a different tone than a lot of the rest of the album did. It had kind of like an upbeat longing to it. There was some energy, even a little ferocity in it. And I love the one weird symbol that he uses for this specific song and nowhere else on the album. Admittedly, he overuses it even in this song. But
Yeah.
what about you?
That's a good one. You know what? I'll do Dial 595 Escape.
That's the call.
It's a tie between that and Friend/Fiend. And you know what pushed it out? The fact that I had to say Friend/Fiend, so I'm not picking it. That's stupid.
You could have just said
Yeah.
parentheses or parentheses and.
True. That, you know what? All options are bad.
Yeah.
No good options there. But yeah, for mostly the same reasons in track 11, I can hear something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes me feel something. Most of
There's
this
life
album,
in the old girl yet.
it's awesome. What is that from?
Interview with a Vampire.
That is Interview with the Vampire. Nice.
On a
All right,
scale from 1
so-
to Lestat, how hot am I?
What's that from?
American Dad. Got it in.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Excellent. It's that same episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So good.
Yeah. Well,
Shillelagh.
Shillelagh indeed. We will add our favorite songs to the TDTL favorites playlist on Spotify, and then check us out on Instagram at TDTL_podcast if you so choose.
And we are officially available on YouTube. You can now consume
You're
us
damn
on
right.
every platform known to man.
Yeah, which really means, thankfully, all I have to do now is listen wherever you get your podcasts, rather than
Right.
having to do that stupid thing where I have to call out YouTube every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, helps us and helps you. Hopefully, someone.
We did it.
Yeah, it only took a year,
Some amount of time.
close to
Yeah.
a year. Anyway, Josh,
To play us out? What's that mean?
to play us out.
What does that
Oh, you
mean?
mean like to end the show?
Oh, we didn't even. We didn't actually mention that Daniel Bergstrand was the producer for this, who also produced Behemoth, Demigod, and lots of others.
So he does know how to work with a kick drum?
He does, in fact, know how to work with a kick drum. But
Interesting.
Must have forgotten. Maybe he got hit with a shillelagh.
Maybe.
And with that,
Maybe.
he's been Brad, I've been Josh, and we've been 2 decades too late.